Um, Hi, good evening, everyone. I know the turnout tonight isn't very good, but yeah, before I start my speech proper, I'll first like to thank Nathalie for especially coming down, even though she has a thesis to write, and then Jiang Fan, who is my second girl, who is also working on her work in the corner there. Yeah, so anyway, a short introduction about myself. I'm Cheryl. I'm a year 2 Pol Science student. For the past 2 years in hall, I've been in several CCAs like Chingay, Rec, Greencom, and International Relations Committee. So in school, I've actually also served in the executive board of my political science society as a business director, as well as the Model United Nations director, where we actually organize an event, a 4-day conference, which will be held in June. So to be honest, right, when I first stepped into Eusoff, I never thought that I'll actually be standing up here today, because I really just wanted to experience hall life, like just stay 1 year and leave. So I'm surprised that I'm actually standing here today. But for me, I got addicted to hall life after 1 year, and I felt that I could never leave the friends that I've made in hall behind. So Eusoff has also molded me in many ways that I didn't think was possible. Like, it has taught me better time management. It has testing. Yeah, Eusoff has also taught me to be a better leader, and it has always been supporting me whenever I needed the support. So I felt that it's time to actually make a contribution back to hall, and thus I'm running for JCRC. So we might ask, why Hon Gen Sec? Why am I not running for other posts? Like, for me, I've always take pride in doing administrative work, and I tend to take on the role of the behind-the-scenes support person. So, for example, in Greencom this year, I was the admin, which meant that I had to take down meeting minutes, send out reminder emails, and ensure that things were working smoothly in the committee, even if the people didn't know that it was happening. So I also tend to think of myself as having an eye for detail, like what Nathalie said earlier, like liking to go into the nitty-gritty, and I feel that that's an important characteristic that an on-gen sec should have. But this is not to say that the other posts does not require the eye for detail. It does. I believe that the experience I have in doing secretary work, I'm actually the most suitable for this job, and I promise that I'll give 200% or more in the capacity of on-gen sec as well as a Eusophian. Okay, so moving on, the on-gen sec is the JCRC ex officio for 4 committees who play the supporting role in hall, the auditors who keep stock of the items that Eusoff has, the secretariat which collects the essential documents from the different comms to be passed down to the next generation of committee heads, archives which stores the items related to Eusoff's rich history and makes our yearbooks annually. For those who have seen the little bits of trivia that has been posted on channel EH, that's also from the archives team. Last but not least, the elections comm, which has been working hard in the past few weeks running the elections, as you can see. The Elections Com is a very new committee that was set up this year to ensure that elections will be run objectively and they play the role of a neutral party in hall. I personally think that the Elections Com has done a great job in hyping up the hall, given that this year's turnout for the presidential elections was actually higher than previous years from what I heard. So with all these different committees, they have actually been run very smoothly by Kawun in the past academic year, but I feel that several improvements can be made to up the status of these relatively unknown committees. First and foremost, our proposed for merger between the Secretariat and Archives for both committees, they are actually in charge of data storage in one form or another. So by merging these 2 committees together, lesser manpower will be needed to manage all the processes, all the documentation of files that go through all the different committees in hall. Also, in previous years, there's actually been an effort made to have an inventory system, proper inventory system, and that has yet to materialize. As such, if I'm elected during my term in office, I hope to be able to push for a proper inventory system, and this will be in addition to the digital archiving that Eusoff Works already has. So, secondly, as I mentioned earlier, there were some posts which were made on channel EH about our hall's history and stuff like that. I feel that more can be actually done to let the residents know about our rich history and bits of pieces of information about the hall that we live in. And this will then aid in hyping up Eusoff's historical legacy. And it can be done by, once again, bringing up the "Did you know" trivia, which has been posted around the hall. The auditors, lastly, are in charge of inventory items in the hall, and this includes sports equipment, e-hop items, and other miscellaneous items in the hall. Thus, I'll hope to be able to provide a clearer standard operating procedure for auditors, ensuring that the handover of items from one committee to the next committee is actually smoother, and all the items are actually accounted for. I also hope to be able to push for a standardization of inventory forms such that there will not be an overlap in the purchasing of items from different committees, so that as a whole we can actually save money too. So in summary, I hope to be able to have the chance to push for more improvements in the community and the hall under the OnGenSec by 1, the merger of the Secretariat and Archives for efficiency, 2, the setting up of a proper inventory system for Secretariat and Archives, 3, hyping up the Archives publicity, which means hyping up Eusoff's historical legacy, 4, clearer SOPs for the auditors, and 5, standardization of inventory forms for the auditors. So as I mentioned earlier, I promise that I'll give my 200% or more in everything that I do in the capacity of the OnGenSec as well as an Eusoffian. And I sincerely hope that Eusoffians will give me the chance to do so. Thank you.
I know that Cheryl, you are very committed in, not only in hall and as well as in faculty and then in our pol science society. So I was just curious, let's say you're elected, do you think it will be a very heavy commitment for you to juggle between your faculty major commitment versus the commitment as a OnGenSec JCRC?
Honestly, I don't think so, because it has been what I've been doing for the past 2 years. Like, as I said earlier, past 2 years I've had exco positions in school, and I've joined committees in hall, so I feel that I can actually balance between the two. Although moving forward, if I do get elected as an OnGenSec, I will be considering to not run for exco in Pol Science Society, or take on a smaller, lower tier role in the exco. Yeah.
So do you think you will compromise on your work in JCRC as an OnGenSec?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi Cheryl, this is Kaun from FSS Year 3. I just want to ask you to maybe repeat again your vision and your direction for the portfolio under you.
The main changes that I want to make to the portfolios under me would be, firstly, the merger of the Secretariat and Archives. Yeah, although just now I was actually talking to Joshua, so he said that previously it was actually like one comp, so they had to split for several reasons. So I think moving forward is something that the split should be done. The merger should be done. Yeah, because there's not enough people who are willing to do such kind of administrative jobs. And also a proper inventory system for Secretariat, Archives, and also for the auditors, so that it's more standardized, it can be passed on to future generations. And also hyping up Archives publicity by having more hall events such that Eusoffians know our hall's history, our hall's rich legacy. Yeah, and lastly, clearer SOPs for the auditors to be passed on. Yeah.
Can you tell us one thing that this year and the past years OnGenSecs haven't been doing well and you'd like to change?
Okay, I honestly don't know what the OnGenSec from the year before hasn't done, but I think moving forward, what can be improved would be more emails sent out, such that it actually, how to say, like the hall is more connected to the JCRC. Yeah, like by sending out more emails to the respective heads and actually connecting with them on a regular basis via email or via other forms. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Cheryl, you mentioned about the inventorized system which you plan to carry out by Secretariat. Yeah. Then do you have any plans for the inventorized system? Because you mentioned that if there's an inventorized system, then committees, they will know what the items that we have and they wouldn't buy repeated stuff. But currently the stock taking is such that they only occur at either the start or the end of the semester. So during the semester, they wouldn't know about what was being bought, and committees might buy the same items during that period of time. So do you have any suggestions for that one?
I think with regards to your question, I feel like I can actually work with the finance director, whoever that is elected, so that we know what is being bought and we can keep track. So even if the secretariat or the different committees don't actually let us know what they have bought, we can track it through the receipts and we know what they have. So if we know that another committee needs to buy those items, we'll actually ask them to approach the committee that has already bought those items first to check if they still have those things in stock.
So you mean you'll update it like on a weekly basis?
Maybe not a weekly basis, but probably a monthly basis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Hi Cheryl, I'm Amanda, year 2. Me and Gerald have like a combined question. Because the 4 committees under you, right, they kind of face a recruitment problem. I think you know that, right? So, firstly, like how do you plan? How do you plan to tackle this recruitment problem? And
what do you feel are the major issues that you need to tackle to properly implement some of the suggestions that you have? Because I do feel that these are some suggestions that have been stated before. But what do you think is your major challenges? One of them could be recruitment, so maybe you want to address that first. Then if you feel there's any other challenges, you can talk about that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to merge the Secretariat and Archives, because by merging both portfolios, they will actually be doing more work, and as such, I can actually push for more points to be awarded to members in this committee. So it's a very sad thing, but Eusophians are incentivized by the point system. So by pushing the points slightly higher, I feel that we can actually attract slightly more participation in these respective committees. Of course, it's still a problem. So I think moving forward, what needs to be done is the respective committee heads for these 4 portfolios must actually know the direction that they are going towards and set a very clear goal of what they want to do in their year. Yeah.
Hi Cheryl, Andrew. Can you just tell me one thing you want to be remembered for after you step down? Just one thing that you want to make a difference in, that people will remember you for. Thanks.
I think the one thing would be restoring the legacy of archives. Yeah, because I was actually talking to Joshua earlier, so what I understood was that when they actually cleared the room, all the previous indexes were actually all destroyed. So now it's in a very dismal state. So one thing that I hope to be remembered for is the restoration of the archives committee, or at least the subcommittee. Yeah, thank you.